Hello everyone, today I'll show you different things you can do in the pre-patch to gear up your character. This guide will mainly be for fresh level 70s who would like to know what to do next to get some decent gear before the release of Wrath of the Lich King. Some of these things that I'm about to show you, you can also do when you're leveling your character, as this will save you a bit of time. Anyway, enjoy the video. An important thing to do when you're leveling your character in Burning Crusade is to make sure you get reputation with all the different factions. This will be important later on, as you'll need the reputation to purchase the different heroic keys. These keys will be needed if you wish to change the difficulty from normal to heroic, and on heroic mode you will get better loot, but also Badge of Justice. These badges you can use to purchase different level 70 epic items, and later in the video I'll show you the vendors where you purchase the gear. On top of this, some of the factions will also sell different level 70 PvP rewards. And as a fresh level 70 character, these items will even be useful when you start doing dungeons and heroics. If you wish to get this full PvP set, you need to focus on 5 different factions. It's going to be Shatar, Lower City, Keepers of Time, Cenarian Expedition, and last but not least, Honorhold if you play Alliance, and Thrallmar if you play Horde. One way to reach Honored with most of these factions would be to do normal high level dungeons. These you can start doing when you're around level 66 and all the way up to 70. If you level like this from level 66, then you should also be able to reach Honored with 4 out of 5 of the factions. There's 2 dungeons that I recommend you to do as fast as possible. The first one being Static Halls. Outside the dungeon you can pick up 2 quests and these will reward blue items. In the first quest you get to choose one of these necks. There's one for spellcasters, healers, tanks, melee DPS and hunter. In the second quest you can choose between a polearm, a held offhand for healers and casters, but also a leather helm mainly for feral druids but also useful as a rogue. Next to Static Halls there's another dungeon, Shadow Labyrinth. This is a bit more difficult to do, but definitely worth it. The reason why it's worth it is because there's 2 quest chains that you can do, and these will both reward some blue items. In the first quest you get to choose a pair of braces, and there's one for cloth, leather, mail and plate. The other quest will let you choose a pair of boots, and this time there's also going to be one for cloth, leather, mail and plate users. So these are definitely worth it, because you will be guaranteed loot if you complete the quest chains. And these quest chains are started right outside the dungeon. The fastest way to start gearing up your character at level 70 will be to visit the auction house and purchase different rare and epic items, but this will of course require you to get some gold. As a fresh level 70 cloth user, you might find these items useful. At least they're pretty cheap, we're probably talking about 100 gold or less for each item. If you have a lot of gold to spend, then you could always purchase these 3 epic items. They are way more expensive, but at the same time also a way bigger upgrade. As a leather user, these 3 items might be an upgrade. And if you plan to play a feral tank, make sure to look into the Cleft-Hoof set. This is such a decent tanking set, and you can even use this when you start raiding. These 4 leather items will be the right choice for those of you that would like to spend some more gold to get some big upgrades. For those of you that either play an enhancement shaman or a hunter, make sure to purchase the Fellstalker set. On top of this, you can spend even more gold and purchase these 3 epic mail items. And as a plate DPS user, for example an upcoming level 70 Death Knight, make sure to get the Rage Steel set. A set that provides a lot of strength, crit and even hit. But if you would rather like to tank, then the Fellsteel set is a way better option. This provides a lot of stamina, defense and even a lot of sockets where you can get additional defense or stamina. And as a plate DPS user who would like to do even more damage and increase the chance of getting a raid spot, well, these 4 epic items might help you. And as a tank, I like to purchase these 2 epic items as they will increase my defense rating. One of the easiest ways to get epic items where you don't really need any gear to get this is to do battlegrounds. When you do battlegrounds you get honor, and this honor you can spend on different PvP items. But even though they're PvP items, you can definitely use this when you raid tier 4 and 5 content. The merciless weapons should last all the way up to tier 6 content. And if you plan to level in Wrath of the Lich King with these weapons, then you will probably replace them by the time that you either hit 73 or 74. But else, as a fresh level 70, you could always purchase some bind on equip weapons on auction house. For example, some of these rare weapons. If you have a bit more gold and would like to get a better weapon, you could also purchase these epic weapons. If you have any leftover honor, you could spend this on the different Guardian pieces, and these you can even equip as a Death Knight. At this quartermaster, you can also purchase different rings, necks, cloaks, and trinkets. But as a healer or a caster, you could also go to the auction house and purchase this ring and this neck. They will also provide a set bonus when you equip both of them at the same time. At this point, it's also important to head to Isle of Quel'Danas and do the dungeon Magisters Terrace. This is a dungeon you could even start doing when you're around level 68. The reason why you would like to do this dungeon as fast as possible, and even when you're leveling, is because the final boss will always drop an epic item, and these epic items will even drop on normal mode. So because these items drop on normal mode, then you can just reset the dungeon until you get the item that you're looking for. One thing you should do before you do the dungeon is to head to Isle of Quel'Danas and pick up the dungeon quest. When you complete this, you will unlock heroic mode. I've made a complete dungeon guide with where you pick up the quest and the different tactics, and this you can find in the description below this video. By the time that you have unlocked heroic mode, you also get access to acquiring some amazing epic weapons. For example, these weapons for casters and healers. There's also a dagger, sword, axe, and throw, so weapons for melee classes and hunters. As a cloth, leather, and mail user, you can acquire these items, and if you plan to play a Death Knight or a plate user, then you can get these items as well. But the most important items in the dungeon is the different trinkets. There's a trinket for a caster, healer, tank, and even melee DPS. So make sure to do this dungeon on heroic mode every single day. Now that I'm already covering trinkets, then you could also head to the auction house and purchase the Darkmoon decks. These decks will start a quest that you can hand in when Darkmoon Fair is active. You'll receive a trinket depending on the deck that you hand in, and you might notice there's 2 trinkets for tanks, and yes, you can equip both of these at the same time. Another thing you should do every single day is to do the different heroics, but also the daily heroic. In these heroics you will get better loot, but also the Badge of Justice. This is a currency that I mentioned earlier in the video, and you can use this to purchase different level 70 epic items. There's going to be items for every single class and every single specialization, so cloth, leather, mail and plate items, and even weapons and other stuff. This vendor you can find in the middle of Shattered City, and if you head below, there's even another vendor. Here you can purchase items that will require way more Badge of Justice, but these items are also better and equal to tier 5 and 6 loot. One way to get a lot of these Badge of Justice is to head into the raid Karazhan. This is a 10-man raid where every single boss will drop at least 2 Badge of Justice. This is the easiest raid in Burning Crusade, so if you have followed the different steps so far, then your gear should also be good enough to do Karazhan. Another big reason to visit this place is that every time you kill something in the raid, you will get reputation with the Violet Eye. And when you reach friendly, you can choose a blue ring. This ring you can upgrade when you reach honored, and by that point it will also turn into epic quality. And the rings can also be upgraded when you reach revered and exalted. Now you should just continue to do the different things that I've mentioned, and then it shouldn't take you long to get into tier 5 raids. But before you start doing these, make sure to head to Caverns of Time and pick up this quest. In this quest you need to pick up 2 different items. The first one you can acquire from the final boss in Serpent's Shrine Caverns, Lady Vesh, and the other one from the last boss in Tempest Keep. When you have collected both of these, head back to the quest giver and get your reward. The reward that you can choose is an epic ring, and there's one for all the specializations as well. These rings can also be upgraded as you get more reputation with the Scale of Sands, and this reputation you can grind in the tier 6 raid Mount Hyjal. But before you step into tier 6 content and even Sunwell Plateau, then you need to do another 10-man raid. This raid is called Suleiman, and the items that drop in here is pretty much equal to what you can loot in tier 5 raids. The good thing about Suleiman is that it only has a 3 days logout, so you can do this raid twice a week, making you able to catch up even faster. Also because all the bosses will drop Badge of Justice, so even if you don't get any loot in the raid, then you can use these to purchase some upgrades. From now on, you should just continue to do the different things that I've mentioned, and hopefully you will get into tier 6 content and maybe even Sunwell before the release of Wrath of the Lich King. There's a lot of other things you can prepare in the pre-patch, and all of these I've posted in another video that you can find on my channel. And if you wish to level fast in the pre-patch or maybe even in Wrath of the Lich King, then in the description you can find a link to an amazing leveling add-on. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace.